Hello, my name is MegaNova, and I'm here once again with my friend Julius.
Oh yeah.
And we just watched Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet.
And yeah, he's gonna break it.
So, he watched it once before. Where did you watch it, exactly?
Kiss Cartoon?
God damn it.
Kim Cartoon.
You dirty pirate, you.
Oh, you have never done that. Never.
I would never.
Shut the fuck up. We both know that is a lie, my friend.
Okay, but technically this was an early screening in Denmark. I don't know why we got it this late, but sometimes we get movies earlier, sometimes we get them late. But never mind that. So we watched it, and I was pleasantly surprised, honestly. I thought it was really good.
Me too.
Also, yeah, there's gonna be spoilers.
Oh yeah.
We're just gonna get right into it. One of the most interesting things about this movie, in my opinion, is the fact that there weren't really a villain. Technically, the villain was what was Ralph's insecurities.
Yeah. You can see that also the guy who gave him the virus, but
he barely even existed in the movie. He was only there as a plot device to give him the fucking virus.
He was fucking hilarious.
I mean, yeah.
And intimidating at the same time.
A little bit, but technically there weren't any actual real villain.
That's true.
Like, technically the villain was the fact that Ralph was afraid to lose Penelope because she kind of fell in love with this game on the internet, and she was like, she wanted to stay there. Okay, well, that's way into the movie. So it all starts off pretty much where we left off with the
only 5 years later.
Six years later.
Sorry, I forgot.
So yeah, it pretty much starts up like 6 years later, and it's Ralph and Penelope, they've been best friends. They've been hanging out a whole lot, and just it's the same thing over and over. And for Ralph, that's okay because he's fairly simple-minded. Let's just say. So for him, it's just like just the same routine over and over.
He loves it.
Yeah, and he just thinks that's nice. But Penelope, she because she's a Disney princess, she wants more.
She's a Disney princess now. Oh yes, she is.
Exactly.
There's a point we're gonna make later on why she's a Disney fucking princess.
Well, I mean, she's a princess in a Disney movie, so by all intents and purposes, she is a Disney princess.
Yeah, but
and has been since the first movie she was in.
Actually, is she at this point in the Disney princess gallery? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but by the technical definition,
true.
I mean. We also have the girl from Black Cauldron. She was also technically a princess, but nobody cares about her.
The thing is,
because that movie bombed hard.
The thing is, you have to have some sort of money involved to become a princess.
Well, but you have to at least be an interesting character.
No. The money is important here. Seriously. You need the movie needs to have made a lot of money.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay, fair enough.
I said that movie bombed.
True.
As in, it didn't make any money.
Yeah, it was a weird movie.
Nah.
I like the villain of some.
I mean, he was somewhat cool and a bit of a deviation from most Disney villains.
Exactly.
Most Disney villains are like some kind of fun, but this guy, he was just pure evil.
True.
But
sorry,
we on a tangent. Okay, so they've just been doing the same thing over and over, and she's tired of that. And then one day they get Wi-Fi,
which Ralph is saying, "What is this?"
The internet has now been plugged in to their power bar or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
I don't know what the English word for it is.
It's a power bar thing.
Yeah, well. Whatever, you know the thing with a lot of plugs you can put in. where they, essentially live when they're not in their games. And because Ralph, Vanellope, she had been complaining about everything just being the same and the courses being the same over and over. So he was like, hey, I'm gonna go and do some shit, and then she can go drive on that, and it could be a bit more fun. But one thing leads to another, and the person who was playing the game ends up ripping off the steering wheel, and it ends up breaking. So
the manager actually...
I know, but it's not an important detail. The steering wheel breaks. So and he's like, he's like, well, I don't know where to get it because the company that makes them has been out of business. So they just quickly go in and find it on eBay, but it's for $200, which is more than the actual machine makes per year. So it's simply not worth it for him. So he's like, well, gotta shut it down. We'll just get it for parts on Friday. And that then leads Vanellope, she gets super depressed because now all the characters from Sugar Rush don't have a game to go to. So they all go in and they start living with the other game characters, and then Ralph is like, we gotta go to the internet and find it on eBoy, because that's what he thinks it's called.
He said a lot of internet things wrong every time.
Yes.
What was Wi-Fi called again?
Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi did, that's true.
He said those two, Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay. But they then go to the internet and they're they find eBay and they go to bet for it, and
they actually think,
and because they're fucking idiots, they think that it's just like, oh, it's a game. You just have to say the largest number and then you win.
And how much was it?
$27,001.
That's true.
Because they were idiots and just couldn't stop. They just kept betting, and then they go to the checkout, and she's like, "Okay, so just give us the $27,000, and just be fine." And they're like, "But what?" They're just completely confused, and they're like, "Oh well, fuck." Okay, so they go out, and earlier they had gotten some pop-ups where one of them was like, "Hey, do you want to make money from playing games?" Also, actually, that's where we get probably one of the most risque Disney jokes ever. Where one of the pop-ups come along and says something along the lines of, "Singles in your area wants to meet you."
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it's just like it's one of those Disney jokes, where like the kids won't really get it, but you as an adult sits there, "Oh, I know. And I wish I didn't."
Oh yeah. Yeah, Disney's good at that one.
Yeah.
Water, please.
Sure.
Yay.
Didn't you have your Coke?
No, I didn't bought it.
Oh.
I bought the
okay.
Back to topic.
Yes. So, they go find this Spamly.
Yeah, his
name
is Spam.
Awesome name, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And they go to his office or website, I guess. And he's like, "Oh yeah, so the idea is you go and you find these items in games and then you sell them for real money." And they're like, "Well, we kind of need 27,000. And he's like, "Oh, well, there's this one car in this one game called Slaughter Race, where if you can get that, you can sell it for 40K. It's like, "Okay, goddamn, we're gonna do that." Then they go to try and do that, and they almost get the car, but they end up being stopped and her name is Shank, and she's voiced by Gal Gadot. So we got Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
And they even basically designed her to look like her as well. And then
we actually got some pretty funny cameos also.
Yeah.
YouTubers just popping up.
Yeah, I noticed Amanda Sings showed up. I didn't really notice who else. But so Shank introducing them to the idea of making viral videos. Because they make this video where they blow air into Ralph's face and he just says, "I'm gonna wreck it," while his cheeks are raw. And that video gets a ton of views and a ton of hearts on BuzzTube.
Not YouTube, BuzzTube.
But YouTube does also exist in this world.
So that was kind of weird.
Yeah. Because we then get to meet Yes. Because Shank tells them, "Oh, you go meet Yes. She's the head of algorithm or whatever, and to just tell her you sent me." Blah 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 blah. And then they go there, and she's like looking through videos and is like deciding which ones should be boosted up.
No, the boost up. That's right.
Which one should, get advertised and such because they're unique or fun or whatever. And she, and at one point she says like, "Nah, YouTube has that one already." So we know YouTube exists.
I actually saw YouTube when they started coming in.
Ah, okay, but she mentions them by name there. But basically, they end up getting this idea, but we need to make money with this. And it's like, "Oh, you've gotten like 1.3 million hearts from this." And he's like, "Oh, okay, how much money is that?" "Well, that's $43. And he's like, "Oh, it's 43,000. Yeah, no, it's just 43. So you need a lot more." It's like, oh, okay, need like 200 million hearts. So he's just like, "You know what? I'm just gonna make my own versions of all the different kinds of viral videos."
Oh yeah, there is a lot of different kind of videos.
Yeah, and the most important ones are bee puns. For some reason. Bee puns are just
the
bee's
right.
knees.
I hate you so much right now.
I love you too.
Hate.
Hate. Okay, but
hate is real.
So basically, he goes through all this shit just to get the money to buy this fucking steering wheel for her. And
while he is doing that, Vanessa is like, I want to help, come on.
Yeah, so she gets one of those banners to go around and pester people to click on it to go watch the videos. And she then ends up going to the Disney website because Ralph is like, "Well, she should go there because I don't want her to go to the gaming area because he's getting jealous because he's afraid she might want to stay there instead of going back with him." Basically, he's like super possessive.
Oh yeah.
Which makes sense because she's the first friend he's ever had.
True.
He's never had any other friend, so first of all, he doesn't really know how friendships work.
Felix was kind of his friend in the first movie.
I mean, he tried.
True.
But it never really worked out for them to be proper friends.
True. They're more like colleagues.
Yeah, it's like they were never able to really get close.
That's true.
So that and Vanellope is the first one that he really felt was a proper friend to him.
Yeah. It's kind of a sad movie, actually.
I mean, in many ways, it absolutely is. Because it's the main theme is basically Ralph coming to terms with the fact that he doesn't necessarily have to be around his friend all the time, and he has to also accept that she has her own goals and dreams she wants to pursue that he isn't necessarily a part of. And I'll get back into that when we get to the ending, because that's where this movie gets the most of my respect.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But what happens is Vanellope, she starts really liking being in this slaughter race game, and he ends up overhearing something about where it's like, oh, she want to stay there, and she's afraid to tell him.
The thing is, the princess is we're meeting up with all the fucking princesses.
As you would have seen in the trailer, she ends up going in with the princess, and they have the whole thing where it's like, oh, were you kidnapped? Were you poisoned? Did this or that happen? And she was like, no to all of them, and she...
Are you okay?
Are you okay? Should I call the police? That's one of my favorite lines, by the way. But then the and at the end it's like, do everyone think that all your problems were solved by a big strong man?
What about that?
Yeah.
What's about that?
That was kind of funny. Okay, so but yeah, basically they're working hard on all of this.
The thing is, the princess says, I think it's Ariel just starting singing at some point.
Yes, and there's a spotlight and shit, and she's like, well, that's weird. Why is that happening? And it's like, but if you're a real princess, that just happens when you start to sing. And
when you're looking in the water.
Yes, important water. Important water.
That's true.
Yes. So she goes and spills a cup of water, and she's reflecting in the water.
No. It's just a water pool.
No, it's a cup of water. She spills.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry. I forgot. I forgot that.
She just goes to. We don't see her do it, but we just see she's looking into a pool of water, and then it goes out to a side view, and you see the cup that spilled the water out. But then suddenly she has. She gets her inspiration, and she starts singing about how she wants to be in Slaughter Race.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of a parody song of Ariel's song called Slaughter This World. I need to show you that. That was very important. Slaughter This World. I'll just put it on the... here, we'll watch it afterwards.
Fine.
And, so, she sings about that and how she wants to, stay there because it's basically her dream place. Because one of her main complaints in her own game, is like, it's just 3 different courses and it's the same thing over and over and it just gets tiresome. She wants more variety. And in Slaughter Race,
you never know what happens.
It's kind of like a sort of open worldy type race game. So there's a lot more variety in the types of stuff that can happen there. So that's basically her dream, to be able to be in there. And Ralph, he gets jealous, and so he gets the idea to go and get a virus.
Yeah.
Basically Ralph becomes a bit of an idiot. And at first,
he has always been kind of an idiot.
But at first, this was where I started having a few problems, because I was like, oh, I really don't like the way this is going. Like, it seemed like he was just gonna go like all out villain and just be like a bad guy. Because of his jealousy. Like, I was afraid that he would get consumed by his jealousy and he would go completely crazy. That kind of happens, but not the actual Ralph. But we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah.
So, he gets this virus that is like, what it does, it finds an insecurity in a program, and then it starts replicating it everywhere. Could you...
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. And it starts replicating it everywhere. And at first, it goes... he's like... His only thing he wants is just to slow down the game, to make it boring, so she won't want to play it and will come home with him. Which is a pretty shitty thing to do to your friend, but
You kind of get why he does it.
I mean, you understand from his viewpoint why he does it, but you also get that it's a shitty thing to do, and he also realizes that later. So basically, he releases that in there, and that kind of fucks everything up. And he needs to go in and get Vanellope because their game is set to restart to fix it. But because she's not a part of the original coding of the game, when it gets restarted, everything that's not part of it will get erased. So she will die if she doesn't get out. So he runs in to get her out, and they get out, and he basically comes clean, which I'm actually happy about, that he didn't try to lie or hide it or anything. He just comes right out and says it. Yeah, I didn't mean for it to go this bad. So yeah, I kind of released this virus into the game to make it boring for you.
Got furious.
Like, she gets mad, and I mean, of course she does.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to be your best friend and want to look out for your best interest, but he's just being a super selfish prick.
Yeah.
So
the virus gets out at that point.
Yeah, because Ralph smashed a hole in the like reinforced wall.
The funny thing is, the first thing the virus does is Corbion.
Well, but because it's built to check to see insecurities, it spots Ralph, and
no. The first thing it spots is Penelope's.
Oh yeah, that was in the game. That's what ends up fucking it up, because it sees her, and because she's insecure because of the whole thing about Ralph, because she's afraid that she's lying to him and not telling him that she wants to stay in the game. So it starts fucking shit up, like replicating her glitch everywhere. But when it gets out, it sees Ralph being like super sad about Vanellope being mad at him. And he's like 100% insecure now. So what it ends up doing is just replicating Ralph everywhere.
1 billion Ralph.
Yes. And he just wants to find Vanellope and be friends. Not so loud.
Sorry. Friend.
And it's like friend. It's like the fucking
I know what you mean.
From Finding Nemo. Seagulls.
Yeah, seagulls. But
the seagulls from
what are they saying? I don't.
Mine.
That's true. God damn it! I hate it.
But in this one, it was friend. And here we get into the nightmare fuel.
Oh yeah.
Because, well, first of all, first we just have all these Ralphs trying to find Vanellope. And they get the idea, we have to go to the antivirus area and get them through the gate, because that will erase all the viruses. They don't actually get there, because we have this literal wave of Ralphs that ends up merging into this giant version of Ralph.
Yeah.
And if you've seen Batman Ninja, we have this like where a bunch of bats turns into the big Batman.
About that one.
Yeah, but in that one they just turn into this like solid version of a giant Batman. In this one, we have all the it looks like some kind of hell spawn.
True.
Where you just see it honestly, it looks like something that you would see in like some hell artwork, where you see like a wall just full of people in agony.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and they just form this giant version of Ralph, and it's gonna haunt my nightmares for the next month and a half. I fucking swear.
Really?
And they just give chase, and they turn into fucking King Kong, kidnaps Vanellope, climbs up on top of Google Tower.
I love the... We were talking while we seen the movie, and I was like, Ralph is standing on this book, and
it probably Wikipedia.
Yeah,
like everything is just references to different websites. And also, one of the dead giveaways that the people who made this movie actually, or at least the ones who wrote it, actually knows about internet culture is we also had a scene, that's a bit early in the movie, but we had a scene where Ralph ends up in the comment section.
Oh yeah. That's not bad.
Where we get, he starts seeing that there's some positive comments, but then all the negative comments start rolling in. And then Yes walks in and it's like, oh, yeah, the number one rule is don't read the comments.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to read all my comments that I get because I'm a sucker for punishment. Although most of my comments, luckily, are generally pretty positive.
Oh, great.
But that's generally because that's just how it is for smaller channels. Once you start getting bigger, there's going to be a lot more negative, and I have had a few really shitty ones. But some of them ended up actually being kind of nice people once I actually started talking to them, so... Well.
You never know.
But enough of that. And he gets, like, super depressed over that. But, back to the, basically the climax of the movie. So what happens is, basically, Ralph has to explain to this giant version of himself that he has to accept that he has to let Vanellope go and let her pursue her own dreams.
And now one of my favorite scenes is coming up.
Okay?
The princesses.
Ah, yes,
princesses.
Because he ends up convincing the giant that, yeah, you can still be happy by letting your best friend go and letting them do their own thing. So they all just dissolve, but they're holding on to Ralph out in a grip here. So he just starts falling down. And what happens is...
I think you're gonna forget one thing. The first thing is happening is this car with... What was his name again?
Scamly.
Scamly.
Yeah.
Driving in and he just...
Spamly.
Spamly, yeah. Just flying in
and
Ralph just go right through it.
Here I come to save the day! And he just goes fucking right through because it's a rickety old piece of shit. And then all the princesses are down there and they just start using all their powers. I love that Pocahontas' power is just the fact that there's always wind around her. So her hair is always flowing in the wind.
The thing I liked was Moana and Ariel team up. That was just cool.
Moana starts lifting up the water from this fountain or whatever, and Ariel goes up into it to form it. And then we have Elsa who freezes it solid to make it into like a roller coaster thing. And they landed it there, and
then you see Mulan, Snow White, and Cinderella, and the mice from
the mice from Cinderella.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they end up doing this whole thing with a bunch of dresses where they use Snow White's dress as like a harness, where they have made the other dresses into a parachute for him.
Yeah, it was great.
And then he ends up getting flung over to a bed.
The most cool thing
You're being very loud.
Sorry, the most cool thing there was seeing Mulan just chopping this apple from Snow White. Yeah,
but where the poisonous part of the apple loosened the ropes. But and then he ends up going over to this bed, and then now I can't remember her name, but the one from Tiana. Yeah, she comes over, and it looks like she's gonna do the whole true love's kiss to wake up, but then she pulls out the frog dude. What was his name again?
Philip or something? I don't know.
No, Philip is the one from Sleeping Beauty.
Is he?
Yes, that's Prince Philip.
That's true. I don't recall his name.
No.
Princess and the Frog.
Yes, but she then pulls him out, and we then get a gay kiss, basically.
Yeah.
Between Ralph and him. Oh, but
and he's just smiling and
he's like, "Oh, thank you, Frogger."
and the frog just go.
Yes. Well, and then we get to there, and then it goes over to Ralph and Vanellope, who has basically now come to terms with the fact that Vanellope, she wants to stay. Like, they did end up getting the steering wheel. They made like $40,000 at the end. They do get the steering wheel, and it does gets added into, but she doesn't come back to the game. She decides she wants to stay in Slaughter Race, which, honestly, I have mad respect for.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the entire scene, I was just afraid that they were gonna go back on it and she would just come out and, no, I would miss you too much. And that would just be such a cop-out ending.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was so happy that she actually stood by it, and she's like, well, this is what I want to do, so I'm gonna do it. And Ralph accepted it. He, like, of course he didn't earlier, but he has now learned to accept it. He had character development.
Yeah, I was looking at Nick and just, there were actually character development. What the hell is this movie?
Yes. And we get this adorable scene where they wave at each other as she goes up the stairs into the game, and oh my god, that was just too precious.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he goes home and they just, go about the thing. They still have, earlier on in the movie, they get these, like,
smartphones?
Hologram phones where they can talk to each other with, and they just keep them so they can still stay in contact. They just can't physically be together, but they still talk regularly, and they, like, schedule, when they have a day off so they can go see each other and such.
When the program gonna get rebooted.
Well, whatever it is. But, yeah. And that's basically how it ends.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they're now living separately, but they're still best friends, and they still do see each other. And it was just a really nice movie, all in all.
I actually think it's the better movie of the two.
I mean, yeah, like the first movie was great, but again, as I said in theater, this does what a proper sequel should. It takes what happened in the first movie and just builds upon it.
Exactly.
It's not like just another Wreck-It Ralph movie. It is a new Wreck-It. It's a new story. It's a new take on it.
Yeah.
We get to see where these characters have gone and what they're doing now.
There's one thing you forget everything about. Felix and his girlfriend, I don't call her name.
Oh, yeah, the, like, super hardcore shooter girl. Yeah, they adopt all of the other racers from Sugar Rush. And they are apparently insanely good parents because they make them all super well behaved.
And there's this one hilarious scene at the end of the movie
where they start where they then say where the guy who's like the manager of the whole, he's like, how did you do it? And they're like, oh, you just gotta, and then all the cars come racing by, just can't hear a thing he says. And then she goes, and then you also have to remember, and then lists off some other things you don't get to hear. And that's how you get to raise wonderful kids. And it's just like, I want to know.
And I've been a dad for so I really, I was just in there, yeah, this is just hilarious to me.
Yeah. But all in all, like, I really like this movie.
Me too.
I liked all the references. It never really got too cringy with the references.
True.
Although I had a pretty good take, I think, with Twitter. Because
that's true.
They portrayed Twitter as being this, like, idyllic paradise where it's just a bunch of birds tweeting out cat pictures everywhere. And I was like, no. That place would be on fucking fire, and there would be tanks everywhere and people dying.
My ass off. Besides him,
because that is Twitter, and you can't tell me otherwise.
So I think that was it.
Yeah, just if you like the first movie,
go see it.
This one continues the story and makes it even better.
So go see it, goddammit.
Yeah, and again, I thought it was really interesting that it didn't actually have a villain.
Me too.
Like, the main conflict was the fact that Ralph couldn't come to terms with the fact that Vanellope wanted to do something else.
Yep.
But yeah, that's about it. So,
Bye.
yeah, I hope you all have before all that, all my socials are down in the description.
I forgot about that.
If you like this and wanna see more, you can subscribe and also click the bell icon so you
can do that.
So you know you can see whenever I upload, because you don't actually subscribe if you press subscribe. You have to do all other kinds of shit too, because that makes sense. But yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.